At one particular time, I did talk about. I did say Terrence Crawford.
Okay.
Now, but what are we rating these fighters on? What are we rating these fighters on?
Floyd Mayweather's eyeball test.
That works
You're
for me.
eyeballing these guys. You watch Terrence Crawford. You know why he has a problem getting the other welterweights in the ring with him.
Yo, yeah, so if he was pound for pound, Floyd was pound for pound. You or Floyd, who would have done that? Who would have won that?
Me.
Because I think Floyd at his best was a better defensive fighter than Crawford. Crawford's a better offensive fighter, but in those kind of matchups, I think defense usually beats the offense.
Floyd Mayweather has clapped back at Terrence Crawford in a fresh live interview, arguing that Crawford doesn't even belong on the pound-for-pound list. In contrast, Stephen A. Smith strongly disagrees, calling Crawford the best fighter on the planet and the true pound-for-pound king. Smith pointed out that in the four-belt era, Crawford has done what no one else has, becoming the undisputed world champion across multiple divisions, proving his dominance at every level.
Terrence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era,
Oscar De La Hoya added his own perspective, saying that Floyd Mayweather is the best trainer he's ever seen. According to De La Hoya, if Mayweather were to fight Terrence Crawford, he would reinvent his style, adapt to the challenge, and emerge as a completely different fighter, highlighting just how great Floyd truly is.
Floyd, for me, is the best trainer I've ever had in my life. He would revitalize his style. He would make him a new fighter. That's how great Floyd is.
However, Max Kellerman weighed in by saying that at their respective bests, Floyd Mayweather was the superior defensive fighter, while Terrence Crawford holds the edge offensively. But in Kellerman's view, when it comes to matchups like these, defense has a way of prevailing over offense.
Because I think Floyd at his best was a better defensive fighter than Crawford. Crawford's a better offensive fighter, but in those kind of matchups, I think defense usually beats the offense.
Or because I believe Floyd, at his very best, was a better defensive fighter than Crawford. Sure, Crawford is the stronger offensive fighter, but in matchups like that, defense usually comes out on top.
Mayweather never became undisputed. He's a 5-division champion, but never became undisputed. Never really followed that unification, stuff like that. So I think when it comes to accomplishments, I think he's already done more. In a fight, I probably still pick Mayweather. Both in the prime, I would probably pick Mayweather to win. Just like I would probably pick Pacquiao to win, both in the prime.
Ooh, to beat Crawford.
Yeah, I think so.
Prime for prime? Nice.
Yeah. But is Crawford one of the greatest of all time? It's 100%. They're definitely here.
Furthermore, Robert Garcia acknowledged that while Terrence Crawford made history by becoming undisputed in a prime-for-prime fight, he would still favor Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao in such matchups, though he firmly places Crawford among boxing's all-time greats.
It'd be hard. I mean, they're not that separated in age, right?
I think Terrence is 38. I think Floyd, I am not sure he's either 10 years older or 12 years older. I don't know if he's 48 or 50.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get the best Floyd, so I don't think it makes sense. Exhibition
would be crazy, actually.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Exhibition would be crazy, actually.
Yeah, I think that'll make it.
Danny Garcia added that since Mayweather is nearly a decade older than Crawford, a true competitive fight wouldn't make sense, but an exhibition bout between the two would be wild and actually a perfect idea. Interview 7. Errol Spence Jr. explained that Floyd Mayweather's masterful ring IQ and legendary skills put him on a completely different level, which is why he considers Floyd one of the greatest fighters in boxing history.
It's a little different because, Floyd's just different. I feel like, he's the best fighter. I don't know about all time. He might be the best fighter all time. If not, he's close, 2, 3, and not by far. So, it's just it's a little bit different things that Floyd does. And Floyd was a lot older when I sparred him, and it's just certain things that he does that that's real tricky. Like the guy we get in the clinch, he was like squeezing my nose, and I couldn't breathe and stuff like that. So it's just certain things that he do in there. It's just veteran stuff, just veteran all-time type stuff he was doing in that part.
He also added that while a real showdown between Crawford and Mayweather can only be imagined, Floyd's psychological edge is what truly sets him apart. making him unmatched in that department.
Floyd would beat Crawford, would you think? I know that's just a fantasy matchup.
Man, I don't know.
I'm reaching, you know.
I don't get into all that.
Yeah.
I don't know who went out. Sugar Ray Robinson and Floyd.
You know.
I don't know, man.
But for Floyd was the best work, just like mental games and everything.
Oh, yeah, mentally, he by far, I feel like he's the best. He's the best mentally.
Night coach Bernie stated that if Floyd Mayweather and Terrence Crawford had met in their primes, Floyd would likely come out on top by using sharp jabs, clean hooks, punishing body shots, and airtight defense to gradually break Crawford down and take control in the later rounds.
Just hypothetically speaking, just looking at, you know, two fighters, you got Floyd and you got Crawford in their prime. Who you picking?
Can we all give an opinion on that?
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, I got an opinion on that too.
Coach, what you think?
I'm listening to you, Rep.
Floyd versus a prime Mayweather. We can go Pretty Boy. We can go Money May versus Terrence Crawford in his prime. Who we got?
I think Money May would have shut Crawford down. He would have bored him to sleep like he do these fighters.
Yeah.
He would have jabbed him, hooked him, just sticking in the body. You know what I'm saying? And then when the fighters swing back, Floyd nowhere to be found. So mentally, they're draining.
Yeah.
And about the 6th or 7th round, that's when you start picking up, putting the combination together. Money.
Then MMA analyst Luke Thomas pointed out that Terrence Crawford's rise came later in his career, but he still considers him one of the sharpest defensive fighters ever, with the ability to track down and neutralize opponents no matter where they move in the ring.
With Bud's career, right, it bloomed kind of late. I find Bud to be as defensively sound as I've ever seen a fighter. He can find you. There's nowhere to hide with him.
Like Floyd, he has such control over the turns in there. It's just insane.
Even Ryan Clark said Floyd Mayweather was the standout fighter of his generation, overwhelming opponents with unmatched technique and mental toughness, and establishing himself as the true symbol of dominance in the 2000s.
I say that Bud is extremely skilled, right? Yet not as skilled as Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made people look foolish, right? And so if I had to say who's the greatest I've seen, and Bud said it right, the best of an era and the best of an era, it's Floyd. But when I watched Bud against Canelo, there was this extreme skill on display, and there was a level of crazy that's different. There was a level of, and Floyd's extremely tough. Go back to Shane Mosley and the 2 punches he landed early in the fight and the way that he embarrassed him. I'm not saying that Floyd's not tough, Floyd's not a bad man, but there was domination inside that ring we saw this week.
He added that Terrence Crawford has now proven his own greatness by decisively defeating stars like Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez, showcasing not only his elite skill, but also his courage to take on the biggest challenges.
There's no fear in him in the way that he's attacked, gaining notoriety. Bud's been the baddest man for 12 years, but no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the baddest man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fights and the better fights, and he was Errol Spence. We realized just how great he was. Canelo cemented him on what is the two-headed monster that marks the greatest of the 2000s. Floyd Mayweather is on that, and Bud Crawford is right next to him. I don't think we have to pick on who's better. I think they both dominated their eras.
Max Kellerman added that while Floyd Mayweather's resume is undoubtedly deeper, Terrence Crawford has demonstrated a greater willingness to face anyone put in front of him without hesitation.
Wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Oh, yes. That makes a difference.
Jeff. Mayweather highlighted Floyd Mayweather's dominant win over a young Canelo Alvarez as undeniable proof of Floyd's brilliance in the ring. while also noting it showcased the potential Canelo carried early in his career.
We remember, Canelo that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course.
Yeah, nobody had it.
And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.